Ukrainian.com/peace of mind. Citizens, meet ready. Member FDIC.
Is there something really absurd that skeeves you out?
Getting a paper cut on my eyeball.
A fear you can't shake?
I'm gonna leak ocular fluid on my cheeks. It's gonna go into my mouth and I will perish.
Whatever scares you, I want to talk about it. Join me, Larry Mullins, on my new podcast, Your Weirdest Fears. Listen and subscribe to Your Weirdest Fears on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Wednesday News Time, 7:15. To the war in Ukraine. What was the origin of the missile that landed in neighboring Poland, killing 2 people? Was it a Russian missile or a missile fired by Ukraine's defense system? There is disagreement.
Poland's president calling it an unfortunate accident. The head of NATO agreeing.
This is not Ukraine's fault. Russia bears the responsibility for what happened in Poland yesterday.
But in a rare disagreement with his allies, President Zelensky saying, "I have no doubt that it was not our missile and not our missile strike." Zelensky saying his assessment came from a briefing by his top commanders. The Ukrainian president requesting his officials join the investigation.
That's correspondent Tom Soufi-Burridge. President Biden was asked about the disagreement yesterday after returning from his overseas trip.
What's your reaction to President Zelensky saying that the missiles that landed in Poland were not Ukrainian?
That's not the evidence.
Meanwhile, in North and South Korea, there is more saber rattling.
After President Joe Biden last weekend promised a unified response with South Korea and Japan to North Korea's rising weapon threat, the U.S. and South Korean forces conducted a missile defense exercise Thursday morning local time. North Korea swiftly responded with a banned short-range ballistic missile test, its first in just over a week.
And that report from correspondent Alex Jensen in Seoul. Back in this country, in Texas, a man has been executed for killing 2 people, including a child.
In February 2005, Stephen Barbie killed his pregnant ex-girlfriend and her 7-year-old son. Both were suffocated at their home in Fort Worth and later found buried in a shallow grave. Barbie was put to death after courts rejected arguments from his lawyers that his religious freedom was being violated in connection with the policies on spiritual advisors, and that prison officials were indifferent to his medical needs in how he was given a lethal injection. Barbie's execution came on the same day that Arizona gave a lethal injection to Murray Hooper for killing 2 people during a home robbery in Phoenix on New Year's Eve, 1980.
That's correspondent Jennifer Kuiper. 2 more executions are scheduled for today, one in Alabama and one in Oklahoma. Wednesday News Time, 7:17. High inflation and rising prices might not be getting quite as much headlines as earlier in the year, but a new poll from Bankrate.com indicates they are still having an effect on people's lives.
Not only are more than half of Americans delaying a major financial purchase, like a new car or home renovations, Bankrate.com's Greg McBride says some 58% are putting off
Taking a vacation or dining out with family and friends.
He says the bottom line is that 57% say
The state of the economy's had a negative impact on their quality of life in the past year.
McBride says millennials are the most likely to be delaying a large purchase, such as buying a home.
That's correspondent Allison Keys. Here's an aspect of the pandemic that we might not have previously considered: more women giving birth at home.
In the first 2 years of the pandemic, home births reached their highest level in 30 years, according to a new report from the CDC. Before the pandemic, at-home births were around 1%. There was a 22% increase from 2019 to 2020 and a 12% increase from 2020 to 2021. Researchers say concern about visiting a hospital had an impact, but despite the jump, at-home births only accounted for 1.5% of total births at its peak. The increase was highest in Black women, followed by Hispanic, then white women. Lionel Moyes, ABC News.
No specific reason is given in the report, but among the possible reasons that are offered by the report's lead author, the increase occurred at a time when COVID rates were high and vaccinations were either unavailable or not widely used. Wednesday News Time, 7:19. Headlines up next.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had two challenges: improve their brand presence and message and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to KansasCitySteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEB-NOW-1. That's 877-WEB-NOW-1.
Our annual Hungerthon fundraiser is Tuesday, November 22nd. Lock it into 1010 Wins for your chance to bid on a wide range of special items. For more, go to hungerthon.org.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good morning. It's 38 degrees at 7:20 on this Thursday, November 17th. I'm Bud Mishkin. Here's what's happening. The future of Rikers Island on the docket today at a Foley Square hearing inside and a rally outside. Starbucks workers are expected to be out striking today. It's being called the Red Cup Rebellion. Republicans will indeed have a small majority in the House of Representatives. But are Republicans lining up to support former President Trump in his efforts to regain the White House, or are they turning away? Jay Leno undergoes surgery for serious burns suffered while he was working on a vintage car. Sports, the Knicks beat the Nuggets 106-103 in Denver. American League MVP award to be announced tonight, perhaps for Aaron Judge. AccuWeather, windy and cold this morning. AccuWeather real field temperatures in the 20s. News time, 7:21. That's time for traffic and transit with Karen Stewart.
Can you believe it? That disabled tractor trailer's gone. It is on the BQE eastbound of the Brooklyn Bridge. Finally, after all these hours, they managed to get rid of it. The left lane is in the process of reopening. Damage done is really the phrase that comes to mind with me. We are jammed from back at 60th Street. Actually, make that 65th Street now. Jam-packed all the way up into Atlantic Avenue. Can't see that easing up by the time morning rush hour ends, but, you know, anything's possible. The entire Staten Island Expressway is very heavy from the Goethals to the Verrazano Bridge and then up and over and getting on to the Gowanus delays. The Gowanus delays do start right at the Verrazano Bridge, but it's moderate. It doesn't really get jammed until you get to about 65th Street or so before it gets really bad. Hudson River numbers? Okay, here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. It's an hour in at the George. It is an hour in at the George. The inbound...
I like the way she repeated, it is an hour in at the George. An hour at the George. Oh boy. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me on this November 17th, 2022. Next week is Thanksgiving. And we'll see you on the next Driving and the News.